All right. Well, on that note, welcome back.
Well,
It's Lit Book Reviews. At it again. I'm here today, as always, with Christopher Waltz, and I am Michael Fassbender.
I don't know who either of those people are.
They're both in Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, dude, that's such a good movie.
It's a good one.
Mitch would always be Hugo Stiglitz. Isn't he in that movie?
Is he I think he's Chris. Is that Christopher Waltz? Like the main German bad guy? I can't remember his
Hugo
name.
Stiglitz is like, he was a German, maybe like a Jew, and then like is fighting with the B-tards.
The B-tards.
Because that's the like... Wait, which one is Inglourious Bastards?
That's the one with Brad Pitt where they're like...
Yeah.
Like, it's like World War II, like Nazis.
And they like do they like try and infiltrate a play and kill Hitler.
I honestly can't remember. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Anyway,
I just remember it being
he's
a great
from there.
movie.
I think Hugo Stiglitz is like a savage on their side. He was a German who defected. Anyway, this is a story that doesn't even matter, but it was always Mitch's like Call of Duty like name tag.
Oh.
He's such an idiot.
Well, let us know in the comments if you're one of Andrew's 8th graders and tell us if we got that right.
Yeah.
So have you had a good day, man?
Yeah. I haven't done much today except read.
Nice.
What did I do? Dude, I think I'm sick, dude. My Garmin tells me my recovery, and dude, the last 2 days it's been like 12 out of 100.
Oh.
And I've slept like 12. I've slept like a lot of hours. So there's like no reason.
How does it gauge your recovery? What does that even mean?
Dude, I don't know. It's like based off my like heart rate variability and like all these other factors that I don't really know what it means. I just trust the score, for some reason.
Interesting.
But it's just telling me, and I wake up feeling horrible, so like it's not like a shock. So I think it's just I think it's honestly just early onset Alzheimer's probably.
Dang, dude, you hitting that Bruce Willis early. Isn't that what he has?
He has Alzheimer's. Bruce Willis does.
Yeah, dude, he's in like a bad way right now.
Bruce?
Yeah.
Like bald-headed Bruce?
Yeah, Die Hard. Unbreakable.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. He's in a rough spot, from what I've
Should
heard.
we check up on him?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit him up after this.
I always get him and then the other guy who's the British guy. He's a lot younger than him.
Jason Statham.
Yeah. I always get them confused for some reason.
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham.
All right, cool. Well, my day was cool. If you're watching on video, you may see that all of the books are gone because I'm moving. So that's been fun. Glad we're able to squeeze this in, though.
Mm-hmm.
Glad we're able to squeeze in this talk about Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne.
By Jonathan Gwynne.
So let's get on into that. This is the second in a series, the Bloodsworn Saga.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was Shadow of the Gods, which we did a video on not too long ago. And this is the second one, Hunger of the Gods. This has got 15,000 ratings on Goodreads. It's got a 4.56 overall.
Got a really high rating.
Yeah, it does. We both rated the first one, Shadow, 5.
Yeah.
And I gave this one a 5. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 5 as well. Do you think it's better or worse than the first one?
It's hard to say because like the ending is pretty wild, but I don't know, honestly.
I don't know either. I just finished this book today too, so it's tougher for me to like gauge if it's just recency bias.
Yeah, where I finished it like, I don't know, was that 4 or 5 days ago? And yeah, I still don't really know which one I think is better, but I do think it was great. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, the ending for sure, definitely. He has a bunch of switcheroonies.
Yeah,
they get you.
Yeah, he does.
Which I've forgotten that he can do that. I will say, I know you haven't read any of his other works, but I've read the Faithful and the Fallen series, and it's a quartet. And I know we've talked about this, but I still think it's better than this. I'm not saying this isn't good, but this hasn't hit that level yet for me. I think it has the potential, because who knows? Maybe it's another 3 or 4 books. But anyway, it's still, the ending, I think I was going to give it a 4.
That's how I felt till the end.
Helped me.
And that's how I felt in the first one, too, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's like really good, but I've told you this before while we're reading them.
Label it. You gave it a 4, I think, and then went back and gave it a 5.
Yeah, I think I did like a few days later after I sat on it. But yeah, there's something like, I think I've told you before that I think the world building, because that's like probably my favorite thing in these books in fantasy. The world building just feels kind of, in some ways, like in some ways it doesn't. And I hate knocking on, like sounding like I'm knocking on it, but it's like sometimes feels either small or maybe disconnected a little bit. The world building, like, for instance, when they travel places, I'm like, has this taken a day or has it taken 3 months? Because they're traveling on foot.
Yeah.
And like, according to this map, they're basically crossing the known world. So like, how much time has gone by?
I will say, apparently this is called heroic fantasy.
Really? Never even heard of that subgenre.
Yeah, that's what I was reading on what I was listening to on YouTube. So I guess like a lot of the genres, a lot of the themes in it are heroic fantasy themes. So maybe that's why the world building feels smaller, is what I was hearing people talk about, because it's more character based and based on these, like, you know, the awakening of an old magic type of narrative.
Yeah. Well,
let's see if I can get a. Dude, we honestly need to look at all the different genres just so we can kind of see subgenres of fantasy.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't compare. This isn't even close to the same as. It doesn't feel even like remotely the same as Stormlight Archive.
Oh.
And then, dude, Mistborn, like I just started today. Mistborn doesn't feel like either of them, but it's still fantasy. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe that's just not your favorite subgenre.
Yeah.
You just haven't tasted enough of them yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I've still got a lot to taste. So yeah, but still, like we've said, I still gave it a 5 because it was still really good. I started ripping through it, especially in the second half. And you get really invested in the characters. It's still great, but it's one of those things where it's like, we've said this before, but I gave it a 5. I gave, like Words of Radiance and Oathbringer a 5. And I think those books are better. But it's hard on a 5-point system because I feel like it's not a 4.
Yeah. Because what would you give it out of 10, you think?
Out of 10, I feel like I'd give it like an 8.5.
Yeah.
Which makes it a 5 if you do the...
Yeah, round up.
So,
I agree. I think it definitely deserves a 5. I don't think it deserves a 4 in a sense of the 5-point scale. But if we're talking about like ranking, is this like in my top 10? I don't think it is.
Yeah, no, it's not for me. I'm
like,
more heavily
if you're just talking
non-fic,
about like, what if you're not including well,
I don't even know if I've read 10 fantasies at this point.
Yeah, but if it's just 10 fiction, of all the fiction that you've read,
yeah, I don't know if it would. I don't know.
I think it's good. It's not good.
Yeah.
It's just not. Like I said, The Faithful and the Fallen, and again, we're not finished with the series, so
yeah, that's true too.
Who knows? But
it definitely, it's hard to compare it to Stormlight as well because Stormlight's so complex. This is a pretty
it's not the same kind of story.
Yeah, it's just a different kind of story. And it's in that Viking setting, so like that kind of just changes it to a degree as well. Not in a bad way, but like that setting definitely makes it different. But again, I do really like it. I'm really into Viking stuff, like the Vikings show and like Valhalla and stuff like that. So anything like this, I'm definitely into. But I think if there's anything that I could say wasn't like, an A for me, it would be the world building. But character development is great. The action is definitely great.
Dude, you've honestly, I think, screwed yourself.
Well, yeah, because I started with Stormlight.
Yeah, now that I'm like really
to get into
fantasy,
fantasy,
because I'm like trying to think of other fantasies. I've like just never even remotely read another fantasy like that, because it's like, if we're talking about just traditional elements that make just your traditional fantasy story, it's like, okay, like swords, violence, like a hero going on a journey, maybe some magic, a little like sorcery with a wizard or like
some gods or
witch
something.
or something, And this has like all of those elements, you know what I mean, of like a traditional fantasy story, whereas Stormlight is like a whole nother thing, because it's more of like you discovering the world is like honestly mostly.
It's a lot of it.
Of the plot is like figuring out how the world works with the characters, because a lot of the characters don't even understand. But at the same time, this still also is happening.
Yeah.
In this book, it's just on a lesser scale.
Yeah, there's just less going on, and I think maybe that's like.
But it's like, as I'm thinking about it, is there another? I mean, Wheel of Time is literally like the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Malazan. I mean, it's a super long series too. I just don't know of another world that's gonna have the scope.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point in Stormlight,
which is tough.
I mean, it's silly to compare it to, because I mean, he's like a dozen books deep. No, he's more than that. He's got 7 Mistborn, 4 Stormlight. That's 11, and then 2 more Stormlight with the novellas. That's 13. There's Tress, Yumi, Sunlit Man, Emperor's Soul. So that's 17. So unless I'm missing anything, he's got almost 20 books into the Cosmere.
Yeah.
Different planets, different magic systems. So it's almost not fair to compare it, because he's putting together several different series and stuff and making it all one world. Which is
it
why
doesn't
I like
even
it
feel
so
that
much.
way yet, though. I mean, at least when you're reading Mistborn, it feels completely different so far.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like even remotely the same as Stormlight, which, I mean, I'm just curious to see how all these things are going to converge one day.
Well, apparently, I don't know if it's one of the Mistborn eras or a different book in the Cosmere, but dude, there's like it's totally different, some of these books. There's one that has like tech.
Yeah, this one feels more, it's not tech, but it feels more advanced like that. Like I'm saying, It feels exactly like Arcane to me. That setting, which like there's no settings like that in Stormlight that at least I feel like.
Yeah, no, there's definitely not
that vibe.
But yeah, I think it's either, is it Scadrial is the planet on Mistborn? Have they said that yet?
They probably have. It's more like just talking about the city that they're in.
Yeah,
it's still more just laying the groundwork.
Yeah, it's either one of the Mistborn eras or maybe Elantris that has like tech. But anyway, to get off Stormlight, so yeah, I mean, I don't know how much we can do for non-spoiler, because it's the second book in a series. So it's like, if you've read the first book and not this one yet, you should definitely read this one. If
there's more POVs.
Yeah, there are more POVs.
The original 3.
Yeah. Which is nice, because you get like.
I agree.
Not to spoil anything, but you get a. I don't know if you could call. Yeah, I was gonna say antagonist. Like,
yeah,
the character. I feel like he may not be an antagonist for the entire series, but
yeah,
you definitely get someone who becomes an antagonist in Shadow. In this, oh no, you get 2 actually.
Yeah, I mean, they're both bad.
Yeah, they're both bad. One of them's definitely staying bad. If he turns it around, I'm gonna be pissed.
Dude, I will say, I mean, he's honestly, I kind of like him.
I know, dude. We'll get into it, dude. But towards the end of the book, you're like, man, he's kind of like all right.
He's kind of funny, dude. Some of his like mental notes are hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, non-spoiler. I don't know what else. I mean, is there anything else you'd say?
No, it continues on the same path. I mean, obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the front of, the cover of The Shadow of the Gods and then read it, and then what happens at the end, and then look at the cover of Hunger of the Gods. I mean, you can probably assume what's going to happen.
Yeah, but I did so it's funny you say that. So Hunger, it's got the dragon, but you don't meet that dragon until the end.
Or Shadow.
This one, or Shadow, I'm sorry. Shadow has the dragon. Mm-hmm. And then this one with Hunger, I was thinking, oh, is this going to be like we meet this wolf in the end? No. You meet him pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. And then it's still, anyway, it's a cool way that he does it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would say just non-spoiler. I mean, it definitely, I think this one is better because of those other POVs. I guess, like, so when I really think about it, yeah, it definitely is better. Because I like more POVs.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I like Elvar's storyline more, a lot more.
Yeah. Having Goodvar in there.
Yeah.
Makes
him
it.
and Bior, I mean, it's way more well-rounded. There's more characters that come in that I feel like are slightly more memorable, to where in book 3, if there's going to be different POVs, like, I think there's a couple that I wouldn't mind, like, that aren't POVs now.
Yeah.
We can get into that later. That would be kind of cool. So
yeah,
he's definitely setting a scene. I'm curious, though, to where it's going to go. I really have no idea after this one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, because it can't be. We'll get into that in spoiler, actually. Yeah. Only other thing I would say is one thing that I do think John Gwynne is better about. Like, even if it doesn't happen a whole lot, the characters don't feel like they have plot armor around them. So that's one thing he has over, which Sanderson has talked about, how like he hadn't killed off, major characters really. So I don't think Sanderson really cares, like, or that he's like, how do I word this? Like, I don't think it's like a miss from Sanderson's point of view, like, because he's doing something on purpose. I think in book 5 we probably will lose some.
I think that's what he's trading though. Like John Gwynne, he's not going to give you this world where it's like, how does the world work? Let's unlock the mysteries of how the world works. Instead, it's like, who's gonna die? Because someone's dying. Whereas Sanderson, like, maybe there's gonna be minor characters that die, but you know, it's pretty safe to say all your favorite friends are gonna survive. But it's more, that's not what you're getting shocked and awe about. It's like all these secrets and mysteries that are being revealed. So it's just, you're trading it one thing for another. Yeah, pretty
much. So yeah, overall, you should definitely read, I mean, the series. If you've read the first one, you should definitely read this one. It's worth it. Yeah. I think we both agree that it is slightly better than the first one, which is good.
Yeah, and I would say if you've read the first one, but you've not read any other of John Gwynne stuff, I think the other one's better, dude. Really? The Faithful and the Fallen dude was so good.
You know what's interesting is I was on Reddit earlier. I'm in the Bloodsworn subreddit.
I need to get
It's only got like 450 people in it, which is wild. But one of the guys said, somebody went in there and was like, hey, I've read these books now and I've read Sanderson. It's literally like me in there. It was someone else like me. Like, what else should I read? And he said, he talked about the Faithful and Fallen. And he said, you know, Malice is the first one, but he said, it's really, really good, but John Gwynne is a much better writer now, so you may notice a difference, which, I mean, I haven't read them at all, so I can't speak to it.
That's what I was hearing other people say in their videos, like, oh man, it's great to see him develop, and I'm like, I don't know, like, I can't, it's been a while since I've read those. I say a while, it's been like a year or two, but I don't know. I mean, there's more characters in that one that I'm like, oh, like I could literally list like 15 characters that I'm like, oh, that character. Whereas this one, it's like, there's only a handful of characters that I really remember like a lot about. Because there's other minor characters, and I think he does a better job in this book of like kind of building them up.
Yeah, like Liff and people like that.
Yeah. But, and so, I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just because I've had 4 books of him building up certain people, but anyway, it's just that first series is still worth reading, I guess is what I'm saying. And then there's a trilogy that comes after it. Like there's the quartet, and then there's some time, and then there's a trilogy in the same world, which I haven't read that trilogy yet. But anyway.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it was just 4.
Yeah, 4, and then like something huge happens, and then it's like which changes like the whole world, and then it's like what happens after apparently.
Oh, interesting.
So anyway, but no, yeah, I like John Gwynne, dude, and especially if you're someone who wants to keep it somewhat clean, I mean, I feel like he does that. He does a good job of doing that without like making it feel childish.
Yeah.
Like calling it
It's pretty violent,
though. Yeah, it's violent, but I'm saying like there's not like a ton of curse words, which this one had way more. He cursed a lot more in this one. I noticed.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's not dropping F-bombs or anything. But.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, cool. Well, that's non-spoiler, so let's spoil it up then. You've read it. It's more fresh for you, so I mean, I'm sure this will make you jump to the end, but what pops out to you the most?
I mean, yeah, is the Orca dead is definitely like the biggest question that I have, which is just, as I've like really now been thinking about it, there's no way she's dead, bro. As I'm really thinking about it, I just don't, if she is and she dies, like I need more of a final death. Like I don't want to say I don't mind if she dies because I don't want her to die because she's definitely my favorite character in the series. Yeah. But I don't know, dude. It's just, I need like there needs to be more finality to her death. Like it just didn't seem like a spider out of nowhere is what's going to get her. It's just, are you kidding me? Like she's a savage. Yeah. I know, and she does go out, like, if that is how she went out. Like, her ripping that one in half was
while
insane.
She's getting, like, paralyzed. And then tossing Brekka into the river.
And the only other thing, too, is, like, there was basically no time that, like, passes in between book 1 and 2. Yeah. So, essentially, Brekka's not going to be a threat in book 3 if there's the same amount of time that passes. If
I don't know, though. A day. He might, because he's got the wolf and the bear.
But he's, like, 12, dude.
Who knows, man?
I just don't think he's going to be, unless if there's, like, 5 years.
Yeah. Which maybe there is, dude. That'd be honestly crazy.
That's what happens in his other series. There's like a couple years because like the main character, it's a classic like chosen one story. Mm-hmm. So it starts off where he's like 12 or 13, and then by the end, I mean, he's a savage. That's so, cool. But it's just since he did the first one that way, I don't know. But the only other thing, I guess, I think she's still alive just because she's such a backbone of the.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely my favorite, and she feels like the backbone of the story.
Oh, yeah. Her POVs are what carried it for me.
But the first book starts with Varg, I think, right? Or did it start with Orca?
Starts with her, dude, in the woods with
Thorkel.
Young Thorkel.
Rip in peace.
In Brecca.
So yeah, I mean that's definitely the part that stands out the most. I could see like, I feel like what's gonna happen is if it's not a time jump and she's just dead or something else,
she has to be captured.
It's gonna start out with her captured by
which
Rada.
I like that.
Yeah, which I mean she's gonna be in a bad situation.
Yeah, I'm game for the bad situation though, because that could be so interesting.
Yeah, it could.
But with her son being free, they don't really have anything to hold against. Dude, I already know this is exactly what's gonna happen.
All right,
she's gonna be captured. They're gonna put a freaking
thrall collar on her.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I didn't even think about that.
Dude, that's gonna be a problem,
man.
And then
oh no,
maybe time will go by and she has to fight Brecca. Wouldn't that be brutal? Which I will say.
What if she ends up fighting Varg, dude?
Dude, honestly, in a weird way, I liked Varg a lot in this story, and then at the very end, I don't know, I just didn't. I was kind of waiting for like something extra, and it's not that I don't like him still, but dude, he might be like my third favorite POV now, whereas I think he was my first going in, maybe.
That is another. I'm glad you said that. Like his story.
Like, we don't really get any more. Like,
well, it's also the level.
Sister.
On Orca, you're still following the path of her trying to get Brecca. So that's like, that's a big motivator. Elvar now has Ulfrir, so that brings up her arc a lot.
Dude, her whole scene with her dad. Yeah. And like her and then her scene with Orca, like where they kind of pull a fast one on Merc.
Right.
Or whatever her name is. Like, anyway, there's some like cool, like cunning that she uses where she definitely levels up for me.
But then Varg's story is Glornir trying to get Vol back.
Yeah.
So his story, it doesn't have to do with Varg, and he's just kind of like, along for the ride kind of thing, which he has had development, to a degree, but like you barely hear, like he mentions her name, but he's kind of like not really worried about the whole.
I feel like she's alive in some weird
situation.
way.
I guess he did find out though. He got a name of someone.
Yeah, bro. This dude, he seems like an all-time douche.
Yeah.
Freaking Brock.
Yeah, Brock's. Yeah, they like broke Brecca's hand or whatever. Yeah. Trollsbane.
Trollsbane, that's what it is, yeah. I feel like his sister's alive somehow.
Varg's chapters were probably, not every one of them, but his arc as a total was probably even under Gudvar and Bior. Like, theirs were more interesting. Yeah. So let's do that. So we have Orca, Elvar, Varg, Bior, and Gudvar. What would you rank as like the ones you were most interested in? Gudvar's up there, dude. He might be one. He's definitely one or two.
Yeah, I like Gudvar a lot. Like, especially, dude. I actually like him as a character now.
Yeah, me too.
Which I don't know what that says about me as a person, but
that's just really good writing, dude. To go from a character that you hate,
dude. I hate him, and I still hate him in a way, but I don't know.
We start to kind of feel for him, dude. Anybody that gets a freaking ginormous wasp inserted into their chest against their will, you're like, all right, I feel for the guy. Like, I don't wish that upon my worst enemy.
And in a weird way, like, it's just he's downplayed so much to where you, like, have no respect for anything that he does. But then it's like, there's no way he's getting this lucky so many times. It's like he is actually kind of still playing the cards right, like, in a way for himself. And, it's a sleazy way to do it, but I've just gained respect for him in a weird way, even though I don't respect him, but the moves he's making, it's not like he's just falling into success.
Yeah, and it's like
he is making these moves for himself.
Yeah, because it's like a Game of Thrones world to the point where there comes a point for certain characters, like if they don't have anything else to like help them out, you have to be like very selfish and just look out for number one, and that's who Gudvar is in these books. Is he's like the guy that is just like, whatever is going to help me out. That's why he flips in the end. Like, he's just going with whoever he feels like he's not going to get killed with. Which
was an all-time blindside.
Oh, yeah, dude. I wasn't ready for that.
Which that was also another big jump. I felt like there needed to be another chapter in there because I didn't really understand that Gudvar was back. That's because the previous chapter is him literally with Ilska and
Ilska the Cruel.
And then, like, in him trying to pretend that he's Harkon. What's his name?
He's like Hakon's messenger.
Hakon's messenger who really got killed, and then he has the tattoo. But then, what's the dragon's name?
Likrifa.
Likrifa senses that he has that thing in him, and so he just spills the beans. Which you don't know that, but
he skips over that because it makes it more of a reveal later,
which is cool. I like that, but I just didn't. His next chapter, he's in like a hall, and I'm like, all right, is he with them still? Like. it took me a second, which I think he did that on purpose. But
yeah, I think so too.
But then all of a sudden that's the same chapter where Orna's getting that quick revive.
Yeah.
To then just immediate death. And so, I mean, that chapter was definitely wild, but
yeah.
I will say I like the fact because the only plot hole I see, I mean, I'm sure there's others if I really looked, but I mean, can they just revive her again? Like, what's this whole revive
That's
thing?
exactly what I was wondering. Once Leak Rifa leaves, they can just do this again, right?
And that's what I don't know. I guess if they spread her bones out, I guess they need her bones is the thing. Because that's the only reason they were able to do it.
It's not like a Leak Rifa tore her up or anything. I mean, I'm sure she's beaten and battered, but I'm sure her bones are all still at least in the vicinity.
Maybe they just take one, though, to, like, secure her. But anyway, so I will say I'm kind of glad because it would have been weird which maybe it would have been cool, I don't know, for Queen Helka to have Orna in a thrall collar, Elvar to have Ulfir. And I mean, dude, that would just be wild because if they don't match up, I mean...
Well, that's what I thought they were going for. And I actually thought that dynamic would have been sick because you would have had Ulfir and Orna who want to be together because they were together. Like they had kids together or whatever, way back when. But then you would have Helka and Elvar who are not on the same team necessarily. Yeah. I could see them ending up on the same team, but it's going to be crazy, man. I mean, we're kind of just talking about the end. We can go back if we want, but I mean, it sets up a pretty wild future because now, like Jarl Stor, Elvar's dad, was referred to by all the other big characters as one of the like biggest players in the whole world.
Yeah, so now Elvar is...
So now Elvar's like just completely jumped to one of the most powerful people in the world because she's that Jarl at Snakovic and she has Ulfrir.
Which makes you wonder, bro, why are they not bringing back... If they're going to bring back somebody...
I mean, dude, it's
Dude's
probably
bones
because
go through the entire mountain range across the whole...
It's probably because they made the questionable decision of building their entire city on top of his head. Yeah. They're like, yo, we're going to like relocate before we wake this dude up.
Dude, I will say that was definitely my favorite chapter of her coming in, and the chapter ends so cool. I'm like, dang it. And you go to the next one, I'm like waiting for the next Elvar chapter, but essentially she like walks in and her dad makes some like smart ass comment about like, oh, is my daughter already left you or whatever, and she's like, hello father, or something. Like just, and anyway,
it was a very nice culmination point for her.
That was cool. And then I was curious how they were going to get out of it because it's like she gives him the gold and everything, and I'm thinking, there's just no way he honors all this. Like I don't trust this guy.
I knew
it
was happening, bro.
When she brought Ulfir with her, I was like, dude, that Ulfir's like that dude. Because he's like, I will say that's the thing I like. It's not like, I know these gods are really the ones that are the most powerful, but it's not, they're not the main characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it would be so easy to do like I don't know, like a Godzilla versus the world type of thing where these gods are like, but because they're chained down and whatnot, it's just more about the actual people. And so you just kind of forget in a way that he is who he is. So
which the thrall collars do like give it a way different dynamic.
Game changer. But so I think it's cool that, I mean, when is Elvar gonna find out? This is the only thing, is she doesn't know about the Bloodsworn, like who they are, like that they're all tainted. But at the same time, like she's helping tainted. I don't know if she really cares. I mean, she kind of is, but I know it's mainly because of that, like, blood oath that she has. But, and so she's fulfilling that for Yuspa, getting her back to her husband. But, I don't know, dude. Still part of it is, and that's the other thing, dude. Where's Bijarn? Because, remember, he, like, is with them. He just
disappears in that chapter. I think he's just still with Rada and all them. I think he just didn't get out. Unless he's running off by himself, because
maybe he got to the
or maybe he's with one of the other parties, because remember they split up.
Yeah, and then they get back to the group, and then she goes back. Which, why did they do that? She like decides to go back because the dude who's, I forget his name, but his girl gets killed, and he's like, "Oh, let's go back," and it's like, why?
Oh, dude,
she gone, bro.
She's gone. We got to get out of here.
We've got to.
We're behind enemy lines.
I can't remember why they go back. I think they go back literally because he's like, oh, let's avenge her death. And now, you know.
Which is annoying, but it's totally that Viking vibe.
Yeah.
Of like,
I mean, I get it, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but then Rada being alive is an interesting dynamic. And of course, like, I guess I knew Bjor was a rat, but it's like, That's kind of...
It's pretty mid.
It's kind of hilarious that he is the rat. That he's the one who ends up betraying, and he's from the rat god.
Yeah, it's kind of on the nose.
It's hilarious to me, but I think Rada, dude, he's gonna end up switching sides. I think
he definitely seems like
he's
biding his time with Lee Grifa, and there might be because he helps Bior. Like he knows Bior lied about.
Yeah, and he doesn't care as long as he does whatever to save himself, kind of.
Yeah, so I feel like he's just kind of trying to keep himself alive, and then once an opportunity arises, he's going to flip.
Don't. At first, I thought Bior is going to finally figure it out, but I don't think he is, dude.
Figure what out?
Like, I don't think he's ever going to come back. Bro, I mean, he savaged what's-her-face, Kraka.
Yeah,
and
he did.
I was like, he's not going to do that. He's going to stick up, because in a way, he sticks up, but then he just kind of doubles down now.
Yeah, he does. You're right.
So I just don't, for his own character development, it almost doesn't make sense for him to go back now.
I think he'll have to get away from Rada because there seems to be like whenever.
But that's where he feels at home somehow.
That's what I'm saying though. The only way he would turn back is if he was not in Rada's vicinity because they seem to make it clear that whenever a tainted is in the vicinity of like the god that is their like half or whatever that they are.
Yeah.
There seems to be like not control, but they're like drawn to like just sticking with that person because Orca can feel it when she sees Ulfrir, but she fights it because she's still trying to find Brekka. So I don't know, man. I want to see Bior die. Honestly, I just want to see him die. I think I do too. Like Gudvar, I'd rather see Gudvar live.
I think he's making it, dude. Yeah. I think he's standing the test.
He might be the one guy alive at the end of this series.
Dude, he's hilarious to me, dude. His like mental notes of what he's thinking and not saying to people, and then he'll say something that's like, you know, in agreement, but like he's just
like he'll say like, you know, oh yeah, I agree with you, Andrew, and then in his head he's like, this guy's such a freaking idiot. He's swine, scum of the earth. I would cut his throat right now if I wasn't around all these people. And you're just like, oh my god, Gudvar.
Dude, he's going off.
Yeah.
Which I will say, dude, listening to the audiobook I actually kind of liked, man. It's like one of the first times I've like read most of a book, but then like after I've already read a significant portion of it, then done the audiobook. So now I already know their names. So it's not like I'm being introduced to names via audio, like I'm only reinforcing them. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I kind of like the audio, especially the way the guy did it. It was a cool way of like how he was doing it, like when Guthvar's like speaking, but then also when he's like in his own mind, he like does it kind of in a different tone.
Yeah.
And it was cool, but I really like the audio. And yeah, Guthvar was wild, and how I guess. So I'm assuming, just to like clarify, he tells his aunt, and that's why she kills. Like his aunt was in on it, right? Because she kills.
Yeah, he had to have told her like off page. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which was pretty wild, honestly.
But I mean, again, it's all about the guile.
Yeah.
And
so, all about the guile.
I was like, okay.
That was crazy though, because Helka has been presented throughout these two books as like the most powerful person in the world,
except for this like other kingdom. It seems like.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But they're kind of like
an emperor or something.
They're so far off. It's like
I forgot about that. It's only mentioned a couple times.
Like that.
Iskadan, whatever.
Which apparently, what's his face is like. Which that was a whole nother thing, which I think is going to be opened up in this next book. Because the Jaromir guy, I didn't really understand who he was. Then we talked about it, and like, okay, yeah, like now I remember. Because he's only really introduced at the very beginning of book 1. But the fact that what's-his-face is his half-brother was kind of wild to find out.
Sulich?
Sulich, and then I guess because he's tainted, and then they find all these other tainted people, like, I guess, trapped up in that place. Which,
and those were... I don't know if those were tainted people. I think those were his other... They may be tainted, some of them. But those are Jaromir's other brothers and sisters. Because remember, Sulich says, like, anyone that doesn't agree with him that's in our family, he'll, like, get rid of.
Yeah.
Like, because he wants to control, like, hold power.
Oh, okay. So they may not be tainted. They may just be his half-brothers and sisters or whatever.
And I would imagine some of them are. I mean, if Sulich is, it has to be in their bloodline somewhere, so...
Might have been his mom, though, I guess.
Yeah, who knows. But, okay, so to go back, I think Orca's still probably at the top for me as far as POVs.
I think so too, yeah.
Then Gudvar. Then Elvar.
Dude, Loki, yeah.
And then...
It's close between Varg and Bjorn.
I'd still probably put Varg before because I do like Varg a lot. It's just his arc was the most least important in the story this time. It
was, yeah.
Because he's basically just a sidebar to Glornir. his story, really. Him getting Vol back, which...
Because their whole thing that they're doing almost is like... I mean, I don't know. It just... It doesn't seem as important.
It's not as it's not as impactful on the entire world.
No,
they're just getting one person back.
Yeah.
Which
they're facing major casualties for that to occur.
Yeah, dude. I will say though that fight scene in the end where they fight
whatever
all of Jaramir's people was a great fight scene.
It was.
It was really fun to read. But yeah, I think I would agree with you. Not that you said this necessarily, but it might. I'll just say top 3 moments in the book. Number 1 for me was probably the scene with Orna, with Lee Creefer coming down and killing Orna, and Helka getting stabbed in the back.
Sick.
And then I can't remember now. Skald dies too, right?
Skalk is not dead, I don't think.
Skalk? Is it Skalk?
Oh, yeah, he is dead.
The Galderman or whatever.
Yeah.
The one that had the
I think he is dead.
buzzer
I think
in Gudvar. Yeah, I think Gudvar kills him, or somebody does.
I think he gets crushed or something. I think he gets killed, by...
Which is crazy.
Ilska and
like a lot of characters got killed.
But like none of the bad characters got killed. I don't know if they faced any casualties.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was like a bad character. He was just a bad person, but he wasn't really.
He was kind of in the middle.
Like, he was on a weird side. Whereas, I mean, Ilska and company still low key has everyone because Merc got back.
Yeah, that's true.
Who have they killed? Like honestly, they've killed.
The only person Ilska's lost was her brother.
But that was
to Agnar in the last book. Yeah. Before Agnar gets a glizzy down the throat with a sharp point on the end.
Dude, he loves, I swear, John loves the old sword through the mouth.
I mean,
I feel like multiple people died from this book.
That's just a crazy
like, they could be random,
dude.
like, just fodder that are getting killed that way. But, I mean, they just love the old...
I mean, a sword through the mouth would be a tough way to go, dude. I think I'd rather take a hockey cleat to the throat.
Oh, God, dude.
Sorry, rest in peace, whoever that guy is. But yeah, so yeah, that would be the way I would list the POVs as far as how much I enjoyed them.
I agree with that.
I would also agree with you that I don't for sure think Orca's dead. I think it would because of what you said, like, dude, either we're going to see her dead body chapter 1 of book 3, or she's going to have a whole story in the book, which
I think I will say,
like I told you, I can't remember if it was on the pod or if we were just talking, but when we've talked about Shadow before, I told you, dude, Orca's going to get Brekka and then she's going to die like 5 minutes later. And it seemingly may have happened.
Maybe.
But at the same time, it would honestly make more sense that after that whole scene happened, that Rada would want her alive to like question her and like thrall her potentially. But that might open up a whole thing, which I think this could be Bjor's potential arc. Is
he's gonna set her free somehow?
Well, he's gonna start seeing that like it's almost like Lee Creefa's thing is like almost like a Nazi, or like it's a kind of thing where like we're elite and all this stuff, and she presents this idea that all tainted are like their children and they're all going to be free and do whatever they want. But then the second any of them don't like agree, they either get thralled up or killed, and he's going to be like, well, how are we like any different?
Yeah.
And he's going to start, I think he'll start having a change, because obviously throughout every Bjor chapter at some point he goes, I'm just thinking about Agnar's face when he looked at me and reached his hand out to me. So it's clearly bothering him a lot.
It's bothering him, yeah.
And the fact that he betrayed Elvar.
Dude, another thing to think about, who really was just the thorn in this whole side, was the one boy who, like, this is the very first chapter of the first book, Shadow of the Gods, that gets taken. They're like neighboring like people, and they walk up.
That's
and
right.
He's the one who's like,
he's the one who
yeah.
And he screams.
Yells.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, dude, this kid.
Dude, I just put together that that's the kid who is from the first book.
Yeah, bro.
Who got stolen.
Yeah.
That like
this all started with.
Wow.
And
what a punk, dude. I mean, what a punk.
What a follower.
I just don't get how, I mean, these kids really got to be indoctrinated for you to slaughter my parents and kidnap me. And next thing you know, I'm
facts.
like, yeah, I'm down with this.
That is true,
it's
honestly.
Like, what are you talking about? You freaking gutted my mom and nailed her to our barn.
And I guess, like, I guess it makes sense, like, when you're just in survival mode. But, like, then when Orca, like, presents herself and is like, no, like, we can get out of here now. It's like, oh, wait, like, let me wake up from this, like, the juice that I'm drinking.
Trance I'm in,
yeah, and like let's get out of here because like most of the other kids like started running, or at least said a lot of them did. So,
which has another thing that's very Viking World-esque, but these twice now a situation with Glornir and then with Orca, a situation has come up where a bunch of kids who have been in slavery essentially for the last however long don't have anywhere to go and are displaced, and your adult character is like, all right, get out of here, I suggest you run, and you're just like, bro, they're like 9. They're in the middle of, they're probably 5,000 miles away from their home.
He's like, just run south where it's warmer. Because I think literally what he tells them.
It's like, bro, these are kids. Like,
just run south.
Yeah, like it's dark and there's a rat god that's going to be on your tail, but just run. You should be fine. Because Glornir did the same thing with those kids that Enar Half Troll ends up like.
Yeah, he convinced them to say.
Like Glornir was just like, no, we don't have time for them. And Enar's like, bro, we're in the middle of nowhere. Everybody's dead. You just gonna leave all these kids out here? Like, come on.
I'm just more shocked that he took more convincing because it's like, dude, it sounds like, I mean, they're only like down to like 40 people in the Bloodsworn. Like, I mean, this is where you want to hang on to the kids. This is a good investment.
They're all tainted, by the way, so they can become pretty valuable pretty quick.
With no parents. And talk about talk about motivation. They have it. I mean, they need brotherhood. Oh, they're literally Vlarg incarnate. But yeah, I mean, I'm just curious. I hope there is kind of a time jump because I want Brekka to be a problem. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I would like to see a time jump, but if it ends up being a quartet like the last one, like, I mean, who knows? Who knows what could happen?
I wonder if he said, does Saga mean 3 or no? Saga doesn't have like a number attached to it.
No, because like the Star Wars saga.
But it's in sets of 3.
It's in sets of 3, but all the movies are considered like it's like all those 9 movies, even though the last 3 that came out, the sequels don't count because they're terrible and they ruin the canon. But all 9 of those Star Wars movies are considered the Skywalker saga or the Star Wars saga.
Yeah,
but dude, okay, so of all the characters that have not yet, which character would you like a POV of consistently in the next book?
Maybe like, I was trying to think about this while I was coming over here. Maybe like Merc, I think is her name. I think would be interesting.
Merc would be
It almost has to be another bad character. Merc, or even, I don't know if it'd be too much for it to be Rada because he's like a god.
Right.
But
that would be sick,
I'm trying to think of like someone on a good side.
If we're talking good, dude, Grind. Elvar's like, dude. I'd actually be fine with a switch.
Dude,
I'd be fine with a switch.
Yeah, that
where
would
you
be
get Grind instead of Elvar.
I think Elvar probably has to die for that to happen.
Yeah.
So who I think maybe Lift gets one maybe, or someone in that scene. If Orca goes down, their crew needs a POV character for us to stay.
Yeah.
So maybe Brekka,
yeah. Or Lift. Lift would be cool too because you've like seen him kind of under the tutelage of Orca. So I could see that because, I mean, Brekka's a kid, so I don't know how like good those POVs could really be.
Yeah, that's true.
He'd just be like goo goo gaga in his stock
Unless if it's like 4 years later, it starts off
40. He's 50 years old.
52.
For the last 40 years, Leek Rifa has wreaked devastation upon the whole world.
And they've hidden out, doing nothing, but now it's time.
Now at the ripe age of 53, Brekka has decided. So yeah, I would like to see Grind. Merc would be really good because we don't.
You kind of got to know her a little bit more, at least. She was one of the characters, the minor characters that I held on to the most.
Yeah.
At first, I will say, I didn't realize that's who that was.
The one that like hooked up with Vior?
Yeah, I did at first and then I didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because that was when I switched from reading to listening. So at first, I like couldn't realize who that was. I'm trying to think of someone else. There's got to be some other people too.
I mean, Glornir would be sick, but we've already got Varg, so it's
Varg's
like
over there. Yeah.
I mean, more than anything, honestly, I want to see. This is called the Bloodsworn Saga. So at the end of the day, Varg is the character seemingly that the story would revolve around the most if it's called the Bloodsworn Saga, right?
I wonder why. Yeah, no, it's definitely tailored away from the Bloodsworn in this book.
Yeah, it's like.
So I wonder if it's just in general about being tainted.
Right. Because I mean, if you look at the whole story, like just from like a bird's eye view, I mean, this entire book was about them just going to get Vol, who was stolen in the last book.
So the only reason why I think they might this probably what's gonna happen in the very beginning, if I had to guess. The Ilska, Drecker, and Likrifa, they're all. I need a map because, dude, they're far away, right? From where Orca and everybody else is at, like Orca.
Yes, dude. And
so Orca sent Vesley to go warn.
She did. I totally forgot that happened.
The Bloodsworn. So they might get word now they've completed their mission and go help.
Elvar.
So they might.
What she sent them was to go help Elvar. So I think Brekka and his crew might be kind of like out on a limb.
You're right. I don't know why I was thinking it. They were saying to come help them because that could be convenient. Maybe they could just stop by real quick and help out.
Pop by real quick, like
they seem real. They seem like they're out. Like it seems like they brought most of their forces to wherever the hell Queen Helka's at. Is she asleep?
Yeah, and so I'm glad you just said what you said because it reminded me of a point I wanted to make. This is like Game of Thrones got bad about this in the last couple seasons. The Witcher show is terrible about this, which that was just horribly, like, it was really great in some ways, but it just fell apart in so many others. You have to establish for fantasy, in my opinion, this goes back to me being all about world building. If you show me a map and you tell me that this little bit, this equals about an inch in real life, equals 3,000 miles, you've got to make the travel make sense.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of it's just about the way you present the story, and maybe you can just infer that time's going by, which I've heard people talk about this, like, in reviewing and rating, like making videos about different shows that make this mistake. Like, sometimes you can just assume that the writer's like, maybe like either the reader's not going to think about that, or they're just going to have to tell themselves in their head, like in their head canon, that a certain amount of time passed by that makes sense. So a lot of it's just about the presentation, but when certain things happen, like,
because I feel like they were low-key too far away to get there.
Yeah, like Goodfar going all the way to Likrifa's place and then coming back to Helka, that had to have taken 6 months. Like, dude, they're taking horses and boats.
Yeah, like, I have no idea how far that was, but it felt far.
It felt super far. When they talk about Likrifa's, it feels like they're walking to the edge of the earth.
Yeah, because they were walking for forever to get there.
So,
which maybe he was on the ocean and they were walking, so maybe that's why it's faster. But yeah, I need John to break that one down for me for sure. Maybe they flew on Likrifa's back.
Yeah, like, I mean, who knows? It's like the same thing with, like, one thing that happens in the Game of Thrones shows a lot that's funny is whenever you see like, whenever a group or person or whatever is traveling across the ocean and they have dragons with them, you'll see a scene where they leave and the dragons leave at the same time. And then you'll see them show up and the dragons, it's obviously for the sake of making the shot look sick, but the dragons like pull up like right after. And it's like, obviously the dragons travel way faster than a boat.
Yeah.
So it's like they would be 5 days ahead of y'all. Did they just like circle around? But that's just one of those stupid things that like doesn't matter. Yeah. But it kind of is similar to like distance and time not adding up always. But this is like a super nitpick, and most people that read this probably either didn't think about it or think it's silly to consider. But that's one thing that I always think about. It's like, how long did it take Goodvar to get back over here? Like,
and maybe there was a long period. Maybe there was a month in between those things.
Well, that's what I tell myself. I'm like,
because I assume there was, because what's his face said that they needed a long time to prep the materials to be able to get Orna.
Yeah, that's a good point.
To revive her. So I mean,
that's a good point.
But you kind of had to remember that, piece that together, like you were saying. Like you just had to assume that. So
yeah,
I don't know, because then I can't piece together why. Because Bjorn and them and Merc and them, like, they're like waiting to attack this fortress.
Yeah.
And I guess they already know that. I guess they already know then that the rest of the crew's not there. So I guess they still have enough, because I guess they have a lot of the Vaesen that they're waiting to attack with.
Yeah, because Likrifa's not there is what you're saying.
And I guess that's why she's saying, why have we not attacked it? Like, oh, well, they like to attack at night. The Vaesen do. Maybe that's why.
But also, the people they were attacking, it's like a Jarl that starts with the letter O. He's not there. He can't have been there because he came to see Helka.
Yeah,
he's
true.
There with Orna. So it also makes you wonder, like, what exactly happened with that attack, which it doesn't really matter because the main thing that happened there was Orca getting Brekka. But yeah, I don't think it's like John Gwynne didn't think of this. I just don't think it's like one of those things where you can go, okay, enough time has passed by, you know, that they made this travel. Obviously, it actually really only is a problem in shows where you're inferring that something's happening in a certain amount of time. I mean, they established at one point in Game of Thrones that it takes. At the first episode of Game of Thrones, they established that it takes like 6 months to get from King's Landing to Winterfell. Or maybe it was 2 months. It's a matter of months. And then there's a scene later in the show, and this is post having source material. This is when the show got really bad. Later in the show, they have Daenerys ride her dragon from like way down in the south, past Winterfell, way up to the north. And dude, she's at Dragonstone, which is like, if I remember correctly, south of King's Landing. So even further than when established at the beginning of the show, it takes 2 months just to get to Winterfell. So she's further south and has to go further north in an amount of time that the main characters that are in the north that she's coming to save are sitting on this thing in the ice, like that the zombies can't cross. Essentially, dude, they're waiting for like 30 minutes and Dany gets there in time, Daenerys. And you're like,
that's clutch.
I mean, you hit the nos on your dragons. Like, how did you get up here in time? They should be dead and gone by the time you get up here.
She planned this out 3 months ahead. Knew they were going to be
dude, like. So anyway, that was a little tangent just to establish the point I'm making, but it's not a big deal. I probably spent too much time talking about it, but
that's funny.
What else? I'm trying to think of what else happened. I mean,
so we know now Varg is going to converge eventually because he's trying to now kill
Brack.
Brack or whatever. Brock.
Yeah. Probably Brock, not Brack.
Brock, yeah, something. Brock, what is it?
Trollsbane.
And you know, he's obviously with Ilka and but what else does he have going on?
Varg?
Yeah, I feel like there's something else thrown in there, but I can't remember. Dude, Loki, I think you're right.
What?
You had to take where you think, dude, and it said Rikia. Is it how it's pronounced in the... It's not like Rokia or whatever.
But it's spelled with an O, right?
Yeah, but it has like a thing on it, you know?
Oh, yeah, see, I don't...
It says Rikia.
Or you start putting
like in the audible
marks up above letters.
Because at first I was like, who is that? But, dude, I think you're right. I think they might have a thing eventually.
Yeah, I think Vargan... And what I guarantee you is going to happen is they're going to have a thing, have sex one night, and then Rikia dies the next morning. Like, and I just know it's going to happen. Which she's probably one of my favorite minor characters, too. I like her a lot. Her and Zvik both.
Yeah.
I mean, Zvik is... I know he's going to die. There's no way this character that keeps smiling and tells fun stories around the campfire survives. Like,
yeah, he probably is going to die. What else has happened? Obviously, ILBR does her thing, bosses up.
I mean, really bosses up.
She kills her dad and her brother.
That is a pretty cool element to stop on ILBR, though, is the whole idea of, like, the slavery and thralling people. It's like a blot on her character, but it establishes very well for you that, like, this is the way of the world and, like, that kind of thing. But I do think that's going to be a bit of an arc for her, is she's going to get to the point where she feels wrong about having thrall collars around anybody's neck. So I do think eventually that's going to be a bit of a character arc. But yeah, that was the main thing that happened with her, is her taking over Snakovic, which, I mean, dude, she's level. Dude, she's going to be a major problem. She has 2 gods thralled in Ulfrir and his daughter.
Yeah.
She runs Snakovic now, which is...
Well, she has all of the Ulfririan, whatever you want to call them.
All the berserker,
or whatever they are.
Yeah. And now she she has command of all those soldiers that have been showing up to fight for Jarl Stor.
If I'm her, dude, I'm finding the berserker guy's bones. And I'm resurrecting the bear.
The bear.
Imagine having the bear.
That's one of the questions I wanted to ask you, dude. If you could have any of the other gods awoken next book, are you picking bear?
Oh, for sure, dude. He seems like he'd be a huge problem. I mean, obviously, Rada is more of a problem than we realize because, I mean, Orca hits him with a spear to the chest and then he just morphs into a huge rat.
Yeah.
But
you don't really know what happens, though. He might be, like, super, super injured. I doubt it, but who knows?
So, but it's just, I mean,
I want to see that hound, bro. I want to see that dog. That dog running around.
Dog. But I mean, I honestly like how, I mean, what's her face? Orca, I mean, straight up uses the thrall collar to get that girl. But then once it's done, like, she's not going to mistreat her or anything. But I mean, she needs like a certain task done. So it's like,
yeah,
all we're going to do is I'm going to free you afterwards.
Yeah. And her whole, I mean,
she
her
doesn't
whole
tell the
arc
girl
is,
that, but I mean, it makes sense. The way she uses the thrall collar, it's like, all right,
yeah,
if I'm using one, I'm using it the way she's using it. It's not for long-term slavery. It's for like a short-term thing. And then it's like, all right, let's.
Yeah. Well, and it's in the one situation or one of the handful of situations where another person can be like, all right, like, I feel you. It's like, my son got kidnapped. I need to find him and I need a dog. I need a dog person to sniff it out. So,
which I think she's obviously going to be a part of the crew now. However you say her name, which they were saying.
Yeah, like, what was it? So,
it's like S and then it's the AE letter that's like combined.
Dude, she's just S. But yeah, I think the bear would obviously be sick, but I feel like it's going to be something more subtle because there's what's the other like weird animal? It's like a boar or something.
A boar, yeah.
There's
a badger, I think.
I mean, that'd be hilarious, bro.
That would be
a badger.
Dude, but is there other gods? It made it seem like there's other gods in that other place, like a scorpion or something.
Yeah,
dude,
that is wild. Something. There is like a whole nother set of gods that are like maybe lesser gods. But there are other ones.
I mean, maybe, dude. What if they're not? Dude? What if they're like also a problem?
I mean, I'm sure they're a problem, yeah, either way, but probably not in the same way like a Leek Rifa is or Orna.
Leek Rifa does kind of seem like, how is she like their brothers and sisters? Like a dragon does seem a little more OP than.
Well, that's the thing that's cool is because they can turn back into humans. So I think it's like, I mean, I don't know. And that's where I itch for like the world building is I would like to know like, okay, they're people, but they can turn into these godlike creatures. So what like chicken or the egg? Like, were they born as like, was Leek Rifa born a dragon or was she born a person with power because she was Snackovik's daughter? Like, did the snake birth a dragon or did a person birth another person and she could just become a dragon because she was also a god? And like, how does that work? Like, do you just find out when they're born which animal they can turn into, or do you like do something in particular during coitus to make a certain animal? Because what are the odds you have all these kids, bro, and you have all different animals? You don't have two dogs. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I mean, my luck, dude, I'd be having badger after badger. Like, no dragons, no bears. Oh, but I do think Brekka's gonna be a major problem, man. He's got the bear and the wolf in him.
See, there's some that are not there yet because I mean, obviously we're in this more Nordic society, but like, where's the lion and the tiger?
I was just thinking
you know
that.
What I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like in these southern provinces where it's a little warmer, there could be the jaguar or the rhino, like something that's just. I mean,
what if there's a shark, dude? That's just a problem out in the water,
Yeah. Which I will say, another side arc was almost sci-fi element thrown in with those people who like have the tongue that
dude, I forgot about that.
That was wild. Like,
out of left field.
It was a random, which almost it didn't even matter, but it was like, because if you take that out of the book, like nothing changes. I feel like about the book, which is so weird about that whole like plot line, but it was still cool.
And that's a good example though of like Varg's arc just being kind of. It's not pointless because I'm sure the Bloodsworn and having Vol back, like now they're going to be like.
There has to be some overarching problem with this whole Iskidian or whatever it's called. That whole place.
I've been saying Iskidan. I'm sure we're both wrong, but
there has to be something bigger with them. They have to have something going on, or else what's the point of even throwing in the Jeremir or what? This whole other side.
Yeah, there has to be a reason why they ended up going over there, and now there's going to be. I mean, there's going to be a consequence to Jeremir getting killed, which he has made clear. Every time somebody comes at him, he's like, "Do you know who I am? Do you know what happened?"
No, I have no idea.
Like, no, dude. Like, what are you? Like, why do you matter?
Tell me.
Which clearly they are super powerful because Helka, like,
Yeah, they keep talking about him.
Yeah. Which another little small thing that I thought was cool, dude. How fun would it be to get together with the crew? All right. Get hammered. Everybody has a shield. And we start playing that game where we run on shields, dude.
I was trying to picture what was it. Was it a race or were they like all running in a circle trying to hit each other off?
They're all running in a circle and there's I mean, obviously you can just fall, but like what Gudvar was doing was you're trying to catch up to people and knock them off, because obviously eventually you're going to fall. So the faster they fall, the more likely you're going to win. So the goal is just to not fall.
Yeah.
But obviously if you push people, it's going to help you. Which, I mean, dude, Gudvar's got the kiss ass down pat. Dude.
Is the girl still alive?
Which girl?
The sister that he pushes off?
Yeah, she's
because remember she still has control of the collars, because remember he's trying to get to her, and that's when
I think she's still alive. Actually, I don't know if he got to her. I think he ended up getting like tackled or something.
Yeah,
because that scene also, I mean, this is just like the first book, dude. Every arc other than Varg's ends in total chaos.
Yeah.
Like you don't really know like the culmination of all these events, because like, I mean, yeah, because Orca's obviously ended mid potential death. Elvar's, I mean, I guess Elvar's ended. She just destroyed her dad. Yeah. Which, to go back to that, dude, she is a savage, bro. She has Ulfr kill her dad, and then she kills her brother.
Instantly. Like, doesn't even really think twice about it.
Which I liked it, though. I liked that, like, she was just remembering her mom like being tortured and her brother like laughing about it in her ear. It's like, yeah, kill that dude.
And she wasn't going to kill the younger brother, because I remember even in the first book, she like has some fond memories of him.
Yeah, and he's nicer to her. Like he's not like an asshole every time he talks to her. So yeah, trying to think what else occurred. I mean, talking about it again, this is why I love doing this. Talking about it like makes you like it even more, because you kind of get reminded of some of the stuff that you didn't really remember.
You can appreciate it a little more for sure.
Which I will say, like, because at the top of this video, I don't want to always sound like I'm just comparing everything to Stormlight. I don't think anything's as good as it. It's a totally different vibe and experience.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, this isn't a knock in saying that it's like, because obviously John Gwynne wasn't trying to do this, but it's nice to have really entertaining, action-packed fantasy where you're not having to go like, okay, wait, who is this person from an interlude 4,000 pages ago? Like,
yeah, it's more simple.
Yeah, it's just simpler, easy to follow, and just like not more entertaining, but easier to be entertained by. I think this could appeal to a wider audience. I think is the best way to say it.
It's less commitment,
but it's not as popular.
First book, and but it's still, I apparently it's getting popular. I mean, I don't hear anyone ever talk about his first books.
Yeah, it is getting more popular, because that person on Reddit I was talking about was like, I guarantee y'all we're about to see this like pop off a bit more, because it seems like a lot more people are starting to get into John Gwynne, which that makes me kind of want to look up real quick what his previous books. So Malice has, so Malice only has 2,000 more ratings than Shadow does. It's got 34,000. Shadow has 32.
God, man, this just makes me want to reread this book, dude. It's so good. These books are so good, man.
Is Of Blood and Bone the second series after Malice and all those?
Yeah, I have them all, but I just have not read them.
Well, cool. What else? Is there anything else to say about this book?
No. Curious to see what happens next book for sure. I'm curious. I mean, I don't know when it's gonna come out, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he went through an absolute tragedy.
Yeah, so. I just don't know. But I saw where someone, I guess, bought a recent edition of The Hunger of the Gods, and the third book was titled, like, you know how like on the
is it
page,
Wrath?
No, that's the last book of the Faithful and the Fallen.
Oh, I meant like Wrath of the Gods.
I think it is, maybe, actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, because I saw somebody said it on Reddit. How you doing over there, Taylor? Does your neck hurt? Yeah, you were asleep like. She sleep. We got a bystander over here just taking a nap. Just putting him to sleep with our boring words. How's Court of Thorn and Roses going over there? Like it? It's good, she says, if anybody's wondering.
It's good. Thumbs up approval.
So yeah, overall, I mean, if you're still watching this and you haven't read these books, I mean, they're ruined for you. So, I mean, you should still read them, but I don't know why you're here. If you have read them, please leave a comment about what you thought and what you think the future might hold for the Bloodsworn Saga and all of our fabled heroes and villains.
Yeah.
if there's nothing else to say on that, we have got some Napoleon videos coming up here soon. I've been in the process of moving, so I've been lacking a little bit in the reading department. It's just, dude, it's hard for me to sit down and read. This is going to sound maybe kind of crazy. Actually, I don't think it is, because I think there's a lot of like evidence to support the fact that it's like easier to read and like focus or do anything that you're trying to really lock in if you've got like a space that you're comfortable in and you're not distracted. So having like all of my stuff in disarray and most of my stuff packed up at this point, it's like hard for me to read and focus.
That's why I haven't been able to read when I was at Avery's place, because like it wasn't my, like I was staying at a house. It's not my house.
It's really weird.
They're always doing other, like they're not readers. So like I'm trying to find other places. Then if I'm like not sitting with them, they're like, oh, like what are you doing over there? And it's like,
yeah.
So yeah, you can't like get comfortable. Whereas like, dude, I was at my parents' house all day today by myself, and I had no problem. I was just ripping through.
Which I do wish it was more. I mean, not that I've had a lot of experience to say that it's not, but like, remember when we went on Jeb's bachelor trip?
Yeah.
We were all up in a house chilling, and you and me were like sitting there reading while people were watching TV and having it, and nobody like thought anything of it. I wish it was more like socially acceptable and understood. Like if I show up to hang out with friends and I bring a book and I just start reading, I wish that wasn't like, because in my head, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to think, oh, they're going to think I'm being rude. And it's not that I don't want to talk to them or hang out, but like, I enjoy like sitting around with people that I know and like reading and not paying attention to what they're doing. Like I enjoy that. But anyway, something about
it's tough to do that too, though, because people will then just start trying to ask you. Like I swear to God, every time I open up a book, like I'll be at work, no one will talk to me. Then I pull out a book, then someone wants to like ask me questions, and it's like, can you not see that I'm like trying to not talk to you? Like I'm trying to read.
Yeah,
it's so annoying, dude. In those like little moments where like all of a sudden you're gonna get like all right, I'm gonna read a chapter real quick.
Yeah, but all right. So anyway, we got some Napoleon stuff coming up. We're gonna do that in a few parts. It's a pretty thick book and it's very detailed. So we're gonna have a guest with us. So be on the lookout for probably 3 different Napoleon videos, kind of going through his whole life. In that biography by Andrew Roberts, and then we got some more Sanderson coming up. Looks like Mistborn is going to be next on the docket for fantasy. If you're a Sanderson Cosmere fan, we did it wrong. We read Stormlight first. We've read the novellas for that, and now we're going back to read Mistborn. So we'll be diving back into the Cosmere. We got several other things coming up. Anything else, Mr. Loach?
It's a good book. So whenever the third one comes out, I'm curious to see how it does.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Okay, cool. If you're a Texas Rangers fan, congratulations. I'm doing really bad in our fantasy league, by the way, fantasy football.
You fallen?
I got the Underachiever Award the second time, not 2 weeks in a row, but for the second time, dude. I scored 60 points less than I was projected. 60, bro.
That's tough to do.
I had one player get double digits.
Yeah, you're reading me off what your players got, and I'm like,
it's crazy, dude.
Brutal.
I guess I don't know anything about football, but I have that one player, Devontae Adams, that like everybody on ESPN was talking about on Monday about how
they all think he should get traded.
Yeah, how he's underutilized and all that. But anyway, anywho, also, not that anyone cares, but boxing is not real anymore. It's not a sport. If you're a fan of it, you're a joke. Francis Ngannou beat Tyson Fury the other night, had the only knockdown in the fight, and they gave the decision to Tyson Fury. I mean, it's a joke,
the Gypsy
dude.
King.
So hopefully soon we're going to see Francis fight like Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua or something, because I'm not going to lie, dude, he looked good. A lot of people doubted him.
And he's huge, bro.
He's
a big mom.
He's a freak of nature. But anyway, I think that's it for us. You got anything else? I think it's the third time I've asked you this.
No, I got nothing.
All right, well, shout out to all the haters. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.